thank you. And thank you for letting me be in this space with you all. I know I should have been here at 10 o'clock. That was very interesting to hear about how to be healthier. I am a parent of twin boys. They're 11. And I can only imagine as you age and all the stress and all the gratitude that you have with your children and grandchildren. And I look to you all sometimes to ask, is it going to get any easier? Because when my kids were born, people kept saying, "Oh, it's gonna get easier. Don't worry." Um, I'm still looking for easier. I have a few slides I could talk to you about for what's happening in social life at Stanford. So I'll share a screen. I think it'll let me. Let's see. Let's see. Oh, you gotta make me a host or
Yeah.
co. So go ahead and do that. I can keep talking.
So, Lily,
So
can you make him a co-host, please?
yeah. What would be helpful to understand, and maybe you can just put a thumbs up, a reaction to this, but just so I understand who's in the group here, how many of you have current students at Stanford? So I know there's a few that have stayed on beyond that, which is great. Good. And then how many of you have alums now that are with Stanford, just so I understand? Yeah. Oh, it's exciting. What I'll show here, do I have the ability to share now? Let's see. Oh, yeah, thank you. So our office, the Office of Student Engagement, oops, I don't want to do that. I want to do a slideshow. Is that we're within the office or the Division of Student Affairs, and the Division of Student Affairs essentially oversees all the outside the classroom activities and support systems for your students. And beyond that, let's see if we can change slides here. Our Office of Student Engagement, the mission of the office is to educate and empower students to create unique co-curricular experiences. We strive to bring joy, which is something I think we've overcomplicated as we come out of the pandemic. And enrichment to the social experience, we provide opportunities for students to form lifelong memories and find what they need to grow. Part of what I want to talk through with you all is it's interesting that many of us, and I don't know if you relate, don't talk about the pandemic as much anymore. And to be honest, what I've noticed, and just not just at Stanford, but in general, is we haven't seen the long-term impacts of what we all went through together. And what I'm grateful for is that your students are here continuing to bring creative ideas, continuing to want engagement, but also holding the duality between all the stress of the world in some sense, whether it be world issues, whether it be national issues, whether it be at Stanford issues, along with, on the other side, wanting to engage, find community, and really bring joy in some sense. I advised the Frosh Council for the first time this year. Last year, I co-advised it, and it has been incredible to see the incoming students with more energy and excitement to be around one another, because I do think the last 3 years in particularly were hard, just for all of us. And it's going to take time as we build out and become where we want to go. The quote I like to say to students is, I don't want to go back to normal or new normal. I want to go back to better, not for some of us, but for all of us. And how we do that is through empathy and through kindness and through doing good and being grateful. So a little bit about kind of where we're at with all the things, and some of you may like data. Right now, and this is last year's data, we just closed the registration for this upcoming year, but we're seeing a trend of more student organizations wanting to form on campus, which does impact space requests and resources and support. But it's also exciting to see that students want to create and be together in these various organizations. So using the data from the last 10 years, we're nearing 700 student organizations at Stanford. And the events continue to rise. If you look at pre-pandemic levels, the events continue to rise, or parties in some sense. We did have our fair, which was, so I've been at Stanford for 15 years, and when I first saw the student activities fair, for those that are alums on the call, I forgot to ask who are alums, but it used to be this one big, essentially circus out there, and it felt overwhelming, and I could hear it and see it in the voices as students engaged. So what we did was we create 3 smaller fairs and had it be more intimate. Is probably not the right word. There's still chaos and craziness, but more manageable in some sense to be able to engage with the different varying groups on campus on different days. And so that happened successfully. In our office, we have two teams of staff. One is the SOL team, which is the Student Org and Leadership Development team, as well as the operations team. And the SOL team does a lot of the advising for student organizations, and the operations team does a lot of the execution to help support students as they go through and do events. They also, the operations team also manages Cardinal Nights, which some of you may be familiar with. That is really the programming that we do with late night substance-free programming. During the pandemic, we did reduce the number of programs because you can only do so much over Zoom. We are rebuilding that. Rebecca, who is on my team, she's new to Stanford, and she's going on a listening tour, trying to understand from students what are the gaps, where do students want to belong, how do they want to do things. There was a daily article about this just today, but there was an on-call cafe that these students wanted to do, giving out free coffee and pastries. It was like a toasty, and Peyton, who was one of the leaders, she texted me this morning. There was 1,000 people over 2 days that came together, and I went to it the night before, so there's about 500 the first night, 500 the next night. It was just so incredible to see students just being around each other, sipping on coffee, and just really being in community. Even during hard times, which right now the hard times are also midterms and papers and all that, as they also gear up to come home for Thanksgiving for those that are traveling and all that. So that went really well. The Arbor Live program, which has now become a weekly programming at Tressiter outside, and also with our partners in the Coho and Treehouse, do weekly programming there. They have trivia weekly, which with Nerd Nation, as you all know, nerds love competitions. They love to win. They want to be first. And we are having about 30 teams now come weekly. I think it's 4 or 5 a group that they come out and to just compete and have fun. We do a lot of live performances and open mic nights weekly at the Arbor and in the Coho. And that's all coming about. And I will tell you, as you all know, this is not breaking news. There's some incredibly talented students that are either coming in with that talent or just learning new things and just testing it out. And it's just so great to see these students evolve here. The other thing which I'm grateful for is working with Jeanette Smith-Laws. Some of you who may know, manages many of the spaces at Stanford within student affairs. And we have been teaming up to do a lot of different work around activating, whether it be an old Union as a hangout space more, whether it be in White Plaza and piloting some things there. The pop-ups are something that's really been popular. Tuesdays and Fridays are farmers markets come to sell food. But the other new thing that Jeanette had done is if students want to try to sell things, whether it be try to sell food and or other goods, they work with the farmers market under their license to help just pilot it out and see how it's going. And it's been really successful in that way. The last thing I'll mention, and then I'll just say a few other things, is annual traditions are slowly coming back. Some of you may follow what they are. We had Band Run with success, and it's now back to where it was. They did something funny this year. They reversed the route, and it worked really well. That was fantastic. We're having Frosh Formal this Saturday. We're nearing 800 tickets. We'll get to about 1,000 is what you usually get to. And we moved the sophomore and junior formals to on campus now. So years pre-pandemic, and this is when I was an associate director, they would be off campus at different venues like senior formal, which senior formal always gets the numbers because it's the last one. But the other formals would get like 200, 300. One of the lowest was like 50 people at the AT&T Park at the Giant Stadium, which I still remember holding those students saying, it's okay, we're still here to have fun. But we do it on campus now. So there's different special places. So Frosh Formal is at the Alumni Center. The sophomores do it at Hoover, at Traytel over there. And then junior year do it at the Arts Museum. And it's been really successful. About 1,000 people come. And it's easy to get to, it's fun. And as we look at different traditions and how to make it better, as I alluded to earlier, we're going to continue to see what students want to do, how to engage. We do have Cardinal Engage. So if you want to ask your students ever, how do I get involved? There are 2 real ways to get involved that would be simple, which is one is to look at our online portal, and you can just type in keywords that you'd like to get involved in within the 700 groups. Of the 700, I'd say probably about 200 to 200, 250, 300 are like graduate groups, graduate student groups. I don't know if there's any graduate student parents here, but other than that, they're all mostly open. Some of them have selectivity in there, and we're working through that, some of which need to be selective given how they are. Like an a cappella group can only have so many people within a group, or club sports. But we continue to work through and respond to how to be more open with different groups. Let's see here. This is a photo from a powwow, which, if you didn't know, this is the largest student-run powwow west of the Mississippi, if I have that data correct point. But it's really an incredible thing our students do, and they'll continue to do things like this as traditions continue on. So I will stop there, and I'm happy to answer questions, or if there's specific programs or ways we can help your students engage. I will say, and you can probably tell me if you know more, we've always trying to understand how to communicate best to students. There's so much email. I was on a call this morning with our middle school principal. I was laughing with him. Like, I gotta go talk to the parents' council too today. But that there's just not an easy way. People want a notification on their phone. They want something quick and easy. They don't want it too far in advance. They can't plan that far in advance. But there's that happy medium, which if you know how to communicate with your kids and know better, let me know. But we try different things out to see what sticks. Of course, the best thing is word of mouth, but I'll stop there and answer any questions.
Yeah, anyone has questions for, oh yeah, I see one here. My son joined a frat. Do students still engage in these other activities once they have joined a Greek organization?
Oh, yes. You know, the people in Greek and social fraternity and sorority life, they're incredibly involved, which I'm so grateful for. And it's always a balance. And what happens in the trend that usually is seen is, and how we see it, is the frost year, they kind of join 10 things, which is like a lot, or however many it is. And then as they get older, they start to be more, they start to discern what they find joy in, where they find their sense of belonging or their niche. And Greek students in particular are also actively involved, whether it being student government, through other pre-professional student organizations, athletes. It's all a mix of what they and others do. I mean, by senior year, they're either the leader or president of the group oftentimes, or they just want to enjoy and be going to events and not be the ones leading the organization, which we're also seeing sophomores and juniors holding leadership roles also. So
there's a question
yeah.
about exclusivity of some
Yes.
clubs. And I can tell
No,
you've already heard that one before.
I know. And the acapella, I can see it for like there was the audition. So the Stanford light opera, which they're doing Mary Poppins. There was a whole auditions that were happening downstairs in the opera building, and Mary Poppins, and they were all auditioning. And of course, there's only one Mary. But how do you navigate that and feel a sense of like I'm a part of belong to this? And we'll see how it goes. But there's more conversations that need to be happening around opening more organizations that are selective. So we see this more in pre-professional groups, so like finance or consulting. It's those groups that we're going to need to do more work around, and see how we can be more open. There's a consulting group that was created more recently to be more open, so they don't even have any selectivity, just to mirror thatness. I see is full moon on the quad coming back. So here's where we are at full moon, which is an exciting thing to talk about. So what has happened? And last year there was noise about this, and the student government did this poll, which had about, I think, 900 students respond saying we want it back, which is of course 907,000, which is, it's a good number of people. And then we posted the group, okay, who wants to plan this? Because what we did during the pandemic is reevaluate the role of class presidents. So in the past, and this is pre-pandemic, class presidents would lead the organization of all class events, and really where they need to be spending more of their time on, because it took up so much time and resource and funding that they couldn't focus on building their class identity. So we removed it from their portfolio, but we did ask the student government who would like to plan it. And we said we'd be happy to help support who would like to plan. And we went to Shipwreck, which made a natural fit, which is a sexual health resource center. And they said it doesn't align with our values because really Stanford's trying to eliminate um, these issues around sexual assault, sexual misconduct. And so I heard them clearly. And so the question's still out there. If you want to help plan it, there's a group of us that will help think through how we can execute it. So last year I did a more informal, I guess, or unsanctioned, I suppose, full moon of the quad, which is not nearly as it used to be. But I think these traditions need to continue to evolve and really speak to what the students want, and we'll see where it goes. What up? I lost track here. I have also heard it is not easy to sound formal. Okay, so the forming of a student organization, what your cycle is fall quarter they explore, winter quarter they can apply and go through the process, and it's a committee that involves students and administrators. And then spring quarters when they are up and running and we help them get onboarded. So because we have so many groups and limited staffing to oversee all the groups, we want to be very intentional in how we see this. And we want students to first try and see if they see in what other orgs do. A lot of times we start getting into like the weeds into like, I want this particular thing, and really teaching them about how to think about what we do have. And sometimes some of these things don't even need to be clubs too. So that's the conversations we have. What office is responsible on political protests while making sure the students are safe? It is our office. Our office partly works with a lot of stakeholders on campus to support activism on campus. We work with our community centers, the Office of Spiritual and Religious Life, Department of Public Safety, whether it be with Ukraine and Russia, whether it be with Israel and Hamas and that conflict, or whether it be Black Lives Matter within the United States and all of those things. And one of my roles is to help navigate not only policy, but that all sides are heard, and we think through how to support all groups through this as they engage with each other, disengage with each other. One of the things that I also work with is advising the political student organizations, so whether it be the Stanford College Republicans or the Democrats or others, and working on helping them create safe events on campus. Me personally, I'm not a big I don't believe in safety. Like it's a own personal thing. Like you have to navigate the world and how you see fit. And we do our best. And I'm grateful for the partnerships with the Department of Public Safety, who one of the things students always ask is if and when something goes wrong, do you have my back? And I said this recently in a meeting with the Department, I have never felt that they've not had my back. And we work incredibly closely together through the pandemic and moving forward on how to do our best to mitigate any issues and have our students be able to engage and disengage in ways that they feel most safe. Because to be honest, wherever they end up in the world, these issues are not going away. And really our jobs in some sense are to help train them, expose them, and really think through how we can have these conversations that can sometimes be hard. And it's okay to not go to things, and it's okay to take moments of joy and just not be around it. Or if you have the energy, which can take up a lot of time, engage in ways that you can learn. Condoleezza Rice, one of my favorite quotes that she has said once was, and she was telling a student while I was driving her to an event, she said, we have to learn how to listen to varying viewpoints, because it'll either strengthen your own opinion or change your mind. And as hard as it can be sometimes, each person is different in how they engage, and they know their limits and what triggers them and all these things. And we do our best to do that. Two hours, 15 minutes to bake. Yes, there's a food club. And as I mentioned, they should talk to Jeanette Smith-Laws and getting involved with the farmers market Tuesday and Friday. She can maybe sell some things if you want. But there's a number of different ways. Jenny and Ray Klein, Ray Klein is the owners of Treehouse and Co. They've been fantastic partners. Even R&DE and Shirley Everett and her group. We've done these test kitchens they have at these dining halls. It's so fun to see them just have fun with food. And as you all know, food is one of the great ways to bring students out and engage. So other questions or thoughts? You can come off mic too if you want to talk too. Susan, I think you're on mute.
It's so nice to have somebody with
Lori's here.
your kind and disposition in this role. I can see it's just so evident how good you are with the students and how much you enjoy it. And I love to see that you're bringing back some of the old traditions and doing it mindfully. And, so thank you for your good work on this.
No, I love that Lori's in the call. Lori's been working with us on our social life task force. And, Full Moon is such an interesting event. And if you go back to when it was first created, it was this passage of right for seniors with senior men and frosh women. And of course, it's evolved since then and maybe devolved, depending how you look at this. But my first, in 2008, when I went to the Full Moon Quad, it was my first month at Stanford. I saw a student naked urinating on our church, and I'm like, where do I work? What is going on here? And all these things that happened, and that was just one example of the sort of crazy things that happen at Stanford, but they come in here and they are incredible. They come in here green and wanting to learn and just test the limits, and they want to see where the line is, and we earn every dollar made for these students. They're just so exciting to work with, and I'm just so grateful that they continue to be creative and energetic and all the things. Yeah.
Yeah, one of the challenges, just a quick question for you,
Yeah.
that we heard, I guess, a year ago from Susie Brubaker, was the challenge of the institutional memory that had been lost on how to throw events during the pandemic. Are you finding that that's coming back now
It is.
among the students? Okay.
Yeah, it depends on the groups, and there's some groups that just naturally went away for lots of different reasons. I had a graduate group once that was a very strong group pre-pandemic, and over the pandemic, it turned into undergraduates leading the group, and now it's successful in some ways. And it really depends on what groups and how they are structured and how much they kept with records, and we can help them with that. Many are just autonomous in how they record keep. There are staff like me who've been here 15 years who can help kind of put the pieces together and talk through the things. Yeah, it just depends on the group, but I can sense that it's getting better and it will continue to get better over time. Yeah, I'm hopeful in that way. Other thoughts?
Any other comments or questions for Snehal?
Is there any traditions you'd love to see come back that may have not even been caused by the pandemic, but even before that? I love hearing how Stanford used to be and where maybe how it could come back. I don't know. Are things that are memorable for all of you that if you were an alum or
Not ones that we can speak about.
right. That's funny. No, there are some things. I'm like, don't tell me. Don't talk to me. The boat dance. Yeah, we do boat. They do boat dances. That many dorms do boat dances. We've had class councils do boat dances. I remember during the pandemic they wanted to do it, and we tried, and I think we just couldn't do it. But now we can. Oh yeah. Oh, exotic erotic. That went away pre-pandemic. Probably I don't know what year it went. So what happened that if I recall correctly, they added a jazz group to perform there, and somehow jazz killed the whole thing. But it also became a burden on the house to pay for it and also to manage it, and how much it not necessarily damaged, but it's just a lot of work on a house to produce such a large scale event. And as you can imagine, some of these houses, many of the houses, are not made for large parties in some sense. And so, how do we continue to find space on campus that's affordable, that's either free or affordable? And we continue to look, and that's what Jeanette does a great job at. She can take a little bit of money and make wonders with how she transforms spaces. And we just try different things out, and just sometimes things stick and sometimes they don't. Oh great, thank you for staying with the trivia night. Does Spring Sing remind me what Spring Sing is? Is that an a cappella thing? I don't remember I forget what Spring Sing is.
You can unmute yourself, Alice, if you wanted to.
I forget what Spring Sing is. Is it tied to a cappella?
Okay, moving along. There was one about the Big Way Yacht Club back when we
Oh my
could use
God, the lake. I swear, I hope you all came to campus when this happened. It happens everywhere, every once in a while. There's supposed to be 2.5 inches of rain next week, which who knows what will happen then, but projected. But when the lake was full, there was all this conversation, energy, like, how do we create this lake again? And it's above my pay grade to figure out how this happened. But and I know there's all these environmental issues which we have to be sensitive around, which some will debate. It's not about the tiger salamander, but I think it would be wonderful if we can get our lake back. Let's see. The chrysanthemum event. Is that the May Day event? Oh, it's at the medical. I don't know about how the medical school does this chrysanthemum. What is that? I don't know about how the
I
medical.
think they're referring to it as Parents Club event that we just had last week, unless it's something
Which one is that?
different. We just had a big parents, we brought back an old event called the Chrysanthemum
Oh,
Tea
so
that
it's already
was to-
back. Oh, good.
It was a Parents Club event. That may be what she's referring to, because I
Oh, I
don't
see.
know what this is.
Does Stanford invite music groups to perform? Oh yeah. So there's a few groups that bring, but Stanford Concert Network is the major group. We now we started Frost back up in 2012. I only know this because that's the year my kids were born and I missed the first concert. But that has turned into an annual concert that happens at Frost, which what oftentimes happens, students want to bring high profile, large scale bands, known bands to campus, which just costs a lot of money to produce. They do their best to produce at least one event in the spring, but throughout the year, there's all these other bands that perform to campus. If you know up and coming artists, they'll perform in the houses in different places on campus. So that definitely, so the Dillo Day is similar to what the Frost Music and Arts Festival. The other thing that does happen and has been a tradition is Blackfest, which is tied to bringing the Black culture to campus, and they've brought larger name artists, and it's sometime in the same in May too. Sing was back in the scene. Oh, it's Singer Frost. Let's look at that. I will see. You know, the one thing with Frost is, and I've struggled with this, is that it seats 8,000. So if 50 people come, it'll look very empty. And we need to build up and scale up accordingly. So what I would do is like start it off in White Plaza and then move it to Meyer Green, which is a beautiful space. And as that grows over time, end it back into process. I think it'd be fantastic if we get the whole community to hear our a cappella groups to sing. Oh yeah, we did send out the Thanksgiving. You know, it'd be great for the international students who don't typically. And I actually heard, I don't know if anyone on the call is from Miami, but there's a Miami contingent that is staying on campus and was grateful that we sent out that dinner for the students that are in the area. Yeah. Other ideas or
That's great.
thoughts on how we can make it better? Do you hear from your students like, I love this? You know, the thing with our students, and this is just people in general, we oftentimes hear criticism or critique. I also love hearing what works well, so we can do more of that. So if you hear things that are working well, please do tell us that too. And I appreciate the comment about the trivia. We did Lego night, which again, very competitive. It was very popular. Arcade night has become very popular. We've done skating. I feel like skating is coming back. Like, you know, the on roller skating. So we've done that. We brought snow last year, so we're gonna bring snow again because, you know, it doesn't snow here at Stanford, and that's unpopular. Oh yeah, we have an incredible Rubik's Cubes club. He showed me how to do it in less than 30 seconds. It was crazy. But we do have a club for Rubik's Cube. We should have a competition. That'd be funny. Yes.
Thank you, Snehal.
Okay.
It's a great challenge to bring everybody back after this difficult 3 years, but we really appreciate all that you're doing. Thank you so
Of course.
much.
No, I'm grateful for the
And-
time. And if there's anything I can do to help support you all, just let me know. I'm here to help support parents too.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. And thank you for some of the good ideas. At Family Weekend, we're going to have some
Yes, we're
time
gonna do
for
it
family
again.
to come together.
Yes, we're gonna do that collaboration again. Yeah.
Good.
Okay. Thank you so much. Have a great day.